to the Oldish. My name is Karen and I'll be your host for this hour, as always. Welcome back to our viewers from previous shows and a special welcome to those of you who are new. For those of you who are new, please be aware that you can write comments in the bottom, right below this broadcast, and we will see them here. They'll pop up and we'll be able to answer them in real time. Alrighty, so today on the Oldish, we're going to talk about ageism. What is it? First though, let's take a look at some of the articles that we've covered this week on theoldish.com, which is where you can find all of our material. So this week on the Oldish, let me just get rid of some of those. I will show you the website. There it is. There's what you will see. And some of the articles that we have published. Have you heard of palliative sedation? Do you know what the difference between that and medically assisted suicide is? Some would say not much, but read the article and you'll find out. Does it matter where you retire? You bet it does. How about restricted driver's licenses? Have you ever heard about that? Well, driving is a hot button issue, and whenever we publish something on our Facebook page about driving, we get scads of comments from people saying, you know, older people should be tested more often. Older people should stop driving at a certain age or make other arrangements. And then we get a lot of older people saying, it's not us, despite the statistics that have been gathered by the Ministry of Transportation in this country, and they're similar in other countries, that say that older adults are involved in more crashes than any other age group. We have people saying, you know, we have lots of experience, so it's not us, it's the younger people. It's always a hot button issue, but there is a group working on whether restricted driver's licenses would make a difference in terms of reducing car crashes while at the same time maintaining independence for older people. Think of things like driving at night. I know for myself I'm not good driving at night anymore, so I try to avoid it, especially outside of the town where I live. I live in a rural area and it's very, very dark outside of town, so I do try to avoid it. Would having nighttime restrictions on my license matter to me? Probably not, because I restrict myself, I suppose. But for other people, it matters a great deal. So take a look at that article. Have you ever smelled something that isn't really there? Have you ever smelled toast burning and thought, this is something that's associated with seizures? Or maybe you smell a flower, or some favorite meal, or a smell from the memory of childhood. There's a reason why you smell things that aren't really there. Take a look at that article. Did you ever do karate as a kid? Any kind of martial arts? Were you into that? Well, come to find out, doing karate as an older adult, even if you never did it as a child, can make a difference to your health in a positive way. How about vaccines? Do you know what vaccines are needed by older adults? There is also a concern that some vaccines are in quantities that are inappropriate for older adults. That maybe because of their body mass and body structure, they may need lesser doses, greater doses, double doses. Read the article and you'll see, but I know that I am not up to date on my vaccine, so when I see my doctor in another week or two, it's on my checklist to ask him about. There's a new dementia therapy that focuses on photographs. Not your photographs, but it's really interesting. I'm going to show this to you. There it is. We published this on our oldish.com website, and this photo intervention is linked. You can go to the article, read it, and have a look at this website. So what they're doing is they're showing people photographs that are not necessarily related to one another. They're all black and white, but they retrieve memories of a sort and get conversations going. It's ever so interesting. So do take a look at that. It's a really, really fascinating project. Okay, let's get back to where we were here. Okay, there we go. Okay, we are back. Alrighty. So those are some of the articles that we published this week on the Oldish. Do take a look. Now on to our Let's Talk About segment. Ageism. Ageism was a really big topic of conversation at the conference I went to a couple weeks ago on the International Federation of Aging put on. It was one of the 4 pillars, in fact, that they talked about. So we've talked about it a little bit here before, but we're going to talk about it some more. Okay, what is it to begin with? Well, it's prejudice or discrimination based on age. So really, ageism can be applied to any age group. You can have ageism against teenagers or younger adults. In our case, though, we're going to focus on older adults. So it is basically a bundle of misconceptions, negative ideas, and assumptions about older people. For instance, has a clerk ever called you dearie? I don't like that. What can I help you with, dear? Don't like that. Does staff in the long-term care facility where your parent lives call them by their first name, or do they call them Mrs. Jones or Mr. Richardson? Has anybody ever suggested that you won't know how something is used because it's a recently invented technology? The World Health Organization has a global strategy and action plan on aging and health. At the same time, the World Health Organization is forcing their director of aging to retire because he's hit their mandatory retirement age of 62. Fighting ageism on one hand, supporting ageism on the other hand. I heard a tale of an older business owner giving a presentation to his stockholders. And in the course of his presentation, he used some acronyms. A younger business person, sitting further back in the room, was overheard saying to a colleague that the older man probably didn't know what he was saying because he had used these acronyms. So by that comment, he minimized the older man and he dismissed his comments altogether and was encouraging others to think similarly. So what do? You advocate for yourself every time. Advocacy has always been a big pillar of the oldish, and it's no different here. You have to advocate for yourself. To be clear, I'm not considering ageism as when somebody holds a door open for you or offers to carry something heavy to your car. That's being polite. That's not ageism. Ageism is when your age seems to impact how others treat you, respect you, address you, and consider your thoughts. So my suggestion to you is that you stop the conversation right then and there and politely explain that you would not like to be called dear. Ah, look at that. We've got Michelle McLeod, who says she has been speaking out on ageism for decades. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that comment. We all have to always speak out against ageism, don't we? And I'm so glad to hear that you've been doing it. Awesome. Okay. There we go. Okay. So as I say, stop the conversation, explain that your name is Mrs. Anderson, whatever it is, and that's how you'd like to be addressed. Okay, so Michelle, I don't know how to remove you from my screen now. Oh, there we go. Now I just figured it out. There we go. Not that I don't like you, Michelle, but somebody else may pop in, which is good. Okay. Deal with the residence council in a long-term care facility if you feel that how they are addressing their residents is not appropriate. Very often, the residents of the facility will not speak up for themselves because these people, the staff, are charged with their care and they don't want to be treated poorly. Ask whatever questions you need to ask to understand the issues. So don't allow doctors, salespeople, or presenters to assume that you don't understand, or why bother, or that you have insufficient knowledge to make a decision with. So, for instance, if it's a doctor, they are very used to speaking in doctor speak. I understand that completely. They speak with their colleagues like that. That's how they speak to us because it just rolls off their tongue. It comes naturally. Sometimes they have to be reminded that as lay people, we don't understand what it is that they're really saying and that we would like to have a more clear explanation that we will understand so that we can make an informed decision, at the very least, understand what's going on. That could be the case with presenters as well. So they may be making assumptions about you, but you can make assumptions about them too. Maybe they're just not presenting it well, and you need to ask them to present it better. Last week I talked about adult children making health and living decisions for their older adult, cognitively well parents, sometimes without the input of the parents, sometimes even without the presence of their older parent in the room. That's ageism, people. That is ageism. If your company has a mandatory retirement age, question it, fight it, encourage the conversation. In business, boards of directors are losing experienced voices, and small business is losing experienced leadership because of ageism. There was a time when older adults were encouraged to retire, to make room for younger workers to come in and have jobs. But as we pointed out here several weeks ago, there was a newspaper article saying that many companies have been unable to find enough people to apply for their jobs. So they've actually expanded the parameters of any given job to allow more people to be able to apply. So why would you want to expand the parameters when you've got perfectly good, stable employees at hand? As long as they want to work, they should be allowed to work. Socially, ageism tends to be noticed in the dating world. Men are winked at for dating younger women. If I were to date a man who was 20 years younger, I'd probably be called a cougar. I would probably be called a cougar and really looked down upon. That would not be about me. There would be issues to deal with that had to do with the age difference between the two of us. But actually, older women and younger men makes a lot more sense. They are better matched. There's an assumption that HIV is a disease of younger homosexual males. However, 1 in 4 Canadians over 50, men and women, live with HIV. So we don't talk about the need for single older adults to protect themselves as we talk about younger people needing to protect themselves. And it's not just against sexually transmitted diseases. There seems to be the general feeling that older people just don't have sex. Guess what? They do. Single older people, you do need to pay better attention to protecting yourself against sexually transmitted disease, but don't make the assumption that older people, single, married, or otherwise, don't have sex. That's ageism. Socially, it's a good thing to have friends of varying decades. You need to stay engaged with the entire world around you, not just the viewpoint of somebody who's the same age and has the same experience. Broaden your horizons. If I had a friend who was younger or older, who thought that I wouldn't understand something that was going on, I think they wouldn't be my friend for very long. That's ageism. Anyway, don't allow the reduction of the role that older adults can play. Don't allow yourself to be minimized. Don't allow yourself to feel minimized by others. Take a moment and remember who you are, and do take the time to correct them, because they may not know. They may have been raised or trained in a way that ageism isn't even on their horizon. So let's put it on their horizon by advocating for ourselves. That's it from the Oldish today. I welcome you back next Wednesday at 12 noon when we will be presenting another edition of the Oldish Live. In the meanwhile, please do read our articles that are published pretty much every day, about 6 days a week, on theoldish.com. Follow us on our social media sites. If you haven't yet liked our Facebook page, please do. That way you'll see all of our content when we publish it. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, as @theoldish. So follow us there as well. The content is not the same. So until we see you next week, have a great week. And please do remember that it takes a village to age a senior.